first nigga in my family with some legal bread. Had to risk it all just to win big. I can stack them lemons to the roof. I ain't stopping till they stack to the moon. Nigga, without me, my family wouldn't have food. Anybody going against me gotta lose. Now you thank you, but I get to that money like 86 again. Lost pops and fell off, we back rich again. Gotta thank God for that prison big music got us looking like the family selling bricks again. Been on tour, been on TV, on base. Still pull up on you with that stick and flip the whip you in. You don't wanna hear about indictments in the case I caught the bitch quit. Listen, free my market.
Yo, welcome to the Juiced Up Show. I'm Jake, Juiced Up Accardo. This is episode 2 of our broadcasting. Thanks for tuning in today. Keep on following, keep on liking. We're going to keep bringing some good content and hopefully it gets better over time. And we're just going to, just elevate our shit and just get better and better. Pass the word on to your friends too. Word of mouth is always the best mouth. The Juiced Up Show is basically a show of TMZ meeting ESPN. It's going to be pop culture, sports, any type of popular topics going on in the world today. Any type of clickbait, any type of funny memes going on, we'll talk about it if it's worth talking about. The don'ts on the show: we don't do politics, we don't do religion. We just stay away from those two topics. There's no winning in that situation, so why even bother? Football is king right now because it is football season, so we'll be talking a lot about football and just kind of things going on around in the league. So our first topic is going to be football today, and we're going to start off with the Hard Knocks premiere from this past Tuesday. We're following the Buffalo Bills this season. I love this show since I was a kid, watching the Ravens with Shannon Sharp and Goose there, and just cracking jokes and the atmosphere, and just watching guys just vibing in the locker room and really getting that inside look at Hard Knocks. And I've watched every season. I watched the front office season they did last year with the Bears. I've always loved this show, even if the seasons aren't good. Just the way they edit the shows, the music, the narrating, like the narrator's voice, that just makes the show like in its own, just the best. And so I'll always watch Hard Knocks. I'll always follow it no matter what the team is. And I thought the premiere episode wasn't that bad. The Bills keep it pretty old school. They still stay out of college when they do their training camps. They're not like at some fancy hotel or close to their homes. They stay within the New York area, but they practice at a university, which was pretty cool, I thought. And from what they showed on the show, they had a pretty big turnout to their inter-squad scrimmage game. So I'm looking forward to watching the rest of that season and just kind of following the Bills and how they do. They've had some good seasons these last few years. They just can't get over that hump, which is the Kansas City Chiefs. But I think they're right there. As long as Josh Allen keeps playing at the level that he plays at, anything's possible with the Buffalo Bills. And then this is the last year at their old stadium, so they're going to want to go out with a bang and do it right for the home crowd out there. So we'll definitely be following the Bills this season and talking a lot about them and Josh Allen. Second topic is my Bolts, my Los Angeles Chargers. I still say San Diego because that's where I'm from, and that's what I'll always consider them. But they brought back Keenan Allen, which I was stoked. I was bummed to see him leave in the first place, going to Chicago and having to catch passes from Caleb Williams. After being with Herbert and Rivers and those two good quarterbacks. So good to see Keenan back. I was also happy to see we brought Mike Williams back, even though he got hurt and had to retire. But I'm glad to see Keenan back. I think he's gonna do well for the underneath game for the offense. Definitely open up the top of the defense for Ladd and hopefully make some space for the running game as well. So I'm glad that Herbert has that safety blanket now in Keenan, and that hopefully it opens it up for Ladd and some of the other receivers that we have. Like we got a good rookie going on right now. So hopefully this works out for the Chargers, but I'm definitely stoked that we brought Keenan back. Aaron Rodgers, I guess there was murmurs or rumors of Aaron Rodgers possibly starting in the preseason game with the Steelers, which is not the worst idea. He had a decent season number-wise last year, not Aaron Rodgers type of numbers, but the dude is 41 years old. And I'll be honest, he ain't my favorite guy, but the dude can slam the ball and getting reps in with the team. And if he's not clicking with the offense in practice right now, I don't think that's a bad route to go starting in the preseason for him, even if it is like a series or two. Just get some reps in with the ones in actual game setting, not the scrimmage setting that you're doing throughout the week, scrimmaging the team that you're going to play against in the preseason. So I don't think that's the worst idea, and we'll get to that more on my juiced up takes on how I feel about starters starting in the preseason for NFL. All right, second topic. We're going to go back to basketball again this episode. We're going to keep track with basketball. They got a lot of moving parts right now. Their season's coming up in a couple months in October. It's usually around Halloween time. So we're going to talk about basketball as long as they got some news popping and there's stuff that we're talking about. The first part I'm going to talk about is the Celtics doing their kind of like mini rebuild. They got rid of Holiday. This recently got rid of Georges Niang. They also got rid of Porzingis as well. But they did bring in Anthony Simons for Holiday, so they did get some stuff back for that. And I feel like as long as you got, I mean, I know Tatum's injured right now, but as long as you got Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Derek White, I feel like that's a pretty good nucleus to work with and to build around. So depending on how Tatum bounces back off of his Achilles injury is going to be interesting. And then also seeing Jaylen Brown, if his game's even going to elevate even more to be a leader and to be like the main focal point of this team now, especially with Porzingis gone. So it's going to be interesting to see that. And then Derek White's just on a great trajectory. The last couple years, I was impressed watching him in the Olympics 2 summers ago. I thought he could have been an MVP or even Devin Booker at that time because they were playing both sides of the ball and playing good minutes during that Olympic run when they got that gold 2 summers ago. So I think Derek White is just going to keep elevating his game as well. He's going to keep locking down dudes. He's going to keep shooting the ball, that three-pointer well. And I think the Celtics just have to maybe mix up their offense a little more, not just pulling threes all day. Maybe get a little more passing, a little better rhythm like that, and make some adjustments in that aspect. Now that they're not going to have Tatum, you're losing a 30-point scorer. So you're definitely going to get other guys involved to elevate other players off the bench. Pritchard's going to play a big part off the bench. He's a hustler. He's an energy guy. So it's really interesting just to see them kind of making moves now, seeing the future. And that's kind of what the Celtics always had the advantage of. When they had Danny Ainge in the front office, now with Brad Stevens, they were always able to look at the future, look at the numbers, and make things work into their advantage and make moves. And Brad Stevens has continued that now that Danny Ainge is gone. So it's really impressive to see him doing this, and they're still going to be a good team. They might not be a top 2 team in the East. They might be around that 4, 5, 6 area possibly, but they're still going to be a good team, and they're going to be a hard out in the playoffs regardless of who they play or where they're seated at. Next up, Giannis. There's been a little, I saw, one of the analysts on ESPN talking about Giannis coming back. It's a tough situation because he did win a championship there. Your players outside of America tend to be more loyal to the franchise that brought them in because they are more grateful for that because of the upbringings that they come through the European leagues or through their own countries. So I don't think it would be the worst thing in the world if Giannis did leave the Bucks because he has put his time in there. They did win a championship with him there, and he elevated that franchise from nobodies to somebodies, and no one even knowing or caring about the Bucks or even knowing what state Milwaukee was in for that matter. So I feel like if he does leave it, it'll be like kind of like a Dame situation when he left Portland, where it's like I'm leaving, but not on a bad note, and no one should be bitter about that. So I don't see anything wrong with Giannis wanting to leave the Bucks or even him staying. I think either way, he's fine. He's proved himself as a player, and hopefully he gets better and gets that outside jumper going better, so it just opens up his game even more. That if people have to commit to him closer because he's a good shooter. So we'll see what Giannis does. But me personally, I think whatever direction he decides to go, I don't think it's a big deal. I think he did what he had to do for that city, and he put in the work for that city. So sometimes you can't let loyalty blind you. I was on NBA.com the other day, just trying to get some scoops, trying to get some information, and a gentleman named Sean Powell of NBA.com, he put his top 10 players of the West list, okay? So this is his list, and then we're going to go over that, and I'm going to explain who I think should replace some of these players on here. So we had Joker, obviously, SGA, Anthony Edwards, Luka, Steph, Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James, and Wemby as his top 10 NBA players in the West right now. To give this guy credit, because I mean, the guy probably is knowledgeable. I'm not familiar with his work, so I'm not going to just poo-poo on this guy. But when you write your blurbs on certain players and you say, and you write about Kawhi, and then after that you have Kevin Durant or however the order was, and you say, copy and paste this to his name, meaning if these guys stay healthy, like Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, and Kawhi Leonard, that they're top 10 players in the West, which is very true. Don't get me wrong, that is very true. But this isn't a what-if list or a when they are list. This is the top 10 best right now when they're on the court, when they're available. And obviously Kawhi Leonard, if you follow basketball, you know this guy's history. He plays when it's time to get the check. When it's time to sign the new contract, to get the new deal, he'll play his 50 games, show you some signs of life, and then, get his money, and then he'll be back on the bench with a knee injury or, some ankle thing or whatever it is that he has going on. But when the guy is on the court, and we saw it during the playoffs, but he kind of died out, he tired out a little bit. But the guy, he has it in him, but he doesn't play enough. So you can't give someone you can't put someone in this spot, say, when healthy. That's my personal opinion. You have to be available 24/7, playing games every night, even if it's a back-to-back, maybe not even every night, maybe play 70 because you sat out a few games, not because of injury, but for rest. So with that being said, he had Luka on here. I'm born in 84. I'm a big component of, are you a good two-way player? And I know in the NBA, not everybody's a good two-way player. Most guys are just good on offense. Not a lot of guys are good on offense and good on defense. That's a very rare few, and that's a very special few that are, and that have notoriety and that have been noticed for that. I was a little disappointed that Devin Booker wasn't on this list. You put Kevin Durant on here, but this guy's not a leader. He's never elevated any franchise that he's been on. When he won his championships with the Warriors, they were already a team with leaders, and all he had to do was just pop in and play basketball. They weren't asking him to do anything else. And that's why he flourished in that position, because he wasn't asked to be anything else but a basketball player. When you throw him on the Brooklyn Nets and you got this guy with Kyrie making executive decisions, that's not his cup of tea. That's not his forte. That's what he should not be doing. He just wants to play basketball, and he said this in interviews. I just want to play ball. Well, then don't complain about your coach. Don't complain about your franchise. Don't want to get traded every 3 years because you think the grass is greener somewhere else. I think my wife told me this is called grass is greener syndrome. This guy wants to get traded every 2 years when he's not happy. Like a kid with a dirty diaper. You know, and the diaper is franchises. When this guy's diaper's dirty, he wants to get out and get to a new franchise like the grass is going to be greener. And I'm telling you what right now, Houston, they probably won't go any further in the playoffs than they did this past year with him there. And I wouldn't be surprised if the guy only plays 50 to 60 games because of injuries. Mark my words, okay? The guy's good, but he's a mental case, and he's kind of emotionally soft. Personal opinion, take it how you want it. Another one I put in, Wemby. This guy, this is another one of those situations where it's social media hype, okay? The guy was getting dunked on constantly last year and getting his shit beat up. And you put this guy at number 10 on the top 10 players in the West list. I'll put Chet Holmgren over him all day, every day. Chet's proven, Chet's shown it, and he's a champion now. He's a top 3 player on a championship team. How can you put Wemby in front of Chet? I don't understand that, and I don't get why these TV heads, they get caught up in social media hype and highlights. But, like, watch the games. Watch the games. Chet's not getting dunked on like Wemby does. Wemby's getting dunked on by 6'6" dudes. You know what I mean? The guy's still frail, and Chet's still frail. They're almost the same type of player, but Chet's game is way more polished, and Wemby actually played professionally in Europe. So he actually has professional experience coming into the NBA. I know the competition is obviously different, but Chet played 1 year of college, sat out his whole first year in the pros, and then came out and was just shitting on fools. And his trajectory has nowhere to go but up. You know what I mean? He's the white KD. So I don't see how Chet couldn't make that list. I don't want to keep putting the OKC. I don't want to make this the OKC Thunder list, but you could even throw Jalen Williams on there and take out Kevin Durant. Because if you're speaking in the moment, we just saw what this guy did. We know what KD has done, but what's he gonna be and what's he gonna do? So I feel like Jalen Williams can be on this list. I made a secondary list of possibilities. I got Ja Morant. I got James Harden. Okay, James Harden. For as much as you want to criticize this guy for how he plays in the playoffs or how he disappears or he only wants to play when it's time to sign a new contract, the dude plays 79 games, 22-8 on points, 8.7 assists. That's a pretty damn good season in my opinion for what they asked him to do and asked him to be, and even showed a little bit of effort on defense. So James Harden deserves to get a little bit of credit for the effort he's putting in over there. And, you know, he's kind of gets slept on because he's on the Clippers. And so James Harden, another guy. Wemby might not even be the best player on his team. De'Aaron Fox might be. He just got a nice bag of 230. So it's like, these guys are like, I put them on as possibilities. I don't know who they would replace on this list because I already had replaced a few other players. But I mean, if you wanted to really, I mean, you could put a valid argument to put Ja over Anthony Davis just off of pure health issues. And the fact that Ja can just bounce. The guy bounces in the gym, dude. The guy's like fucking Tigger out there. The guy has so much bounce, it's ridiculous. You know, and then De'Aaron Fox, he's a go-getter too. So it's like, I feel like this top 10 list was a little, there were some guys in there that I could agree with. I don't know if LeBron just makes it because he's LeBron, even though he still is playing well at his age. But if we're living in the moment and going off of what we're seeing in like the past year or two, there's a couple players on here that do not need to be on this list. And that's just my personal opinion on that. And we'll leave it on that. And I feel like these are good. This is good barbershop conversation right here. And everyone that's going to talk about it that knows the NBA, they're going to mention players that, yeah, you can make a good argument to have these players on this list. You know, everyone has like probably, anyone that follows the NBA or plays like NBA 2K, like, you know, players and you know who brings what to the table, you know. I don't like to put a lot of numbers into stats because I like to watch games and do the eye test and see like what a guy makes me feel like when I watch that guy play. I don't get any emotion off of reading a stat sheet. I get emotion off, dude, when this guy plays, he's hooping, he's going hard all day, every day. There's no playoff. That's what I'm looking for. That's why I like watching OKC, because they got hoopers and they got dudes that are hustling and balling. And, you know, unfortunately, they're going to have to break that team up later on down the road because you can't keep everybody. But they got some hoopers and they got some ballers, so I hope they take advantage of this window that they have right now and maybe get a couple more or one more title before they got to break this team up, because they're not going to be able to afford to keep everybody. All right. So NBA. So now at the end of the show, we do our juiced up takes. These are kind of like issues that I take, you know, just, it could be anything from driving in traffic to my kid picking their nose or hitting me in the butt. But this one, we're going to talk about playing starters in the preseason football. Growing up as a kid, starters always played like the second to last game. They played at one half at least. And then maybe the game before that or the last game, they would play a series. And I don't recall a lot of guys getting injured in preseason. And me personally, I'd rather see a guy get injured actually doing a preseason game, a game rep, than him hurting his knee in practice doing a drill. That's my personal opinion. I think game reps are more important than doing drills and scrimmages during the week against that team you're going to be going against. But I don't see anything wrong with the guy playing a series in the preseason, or like the Bengals starting their starters in the preseason just because they want to gel and they've had slow starts. And that's what's been the problem lately in the NFL is you're not seeing good football till about week 5. Because the offenses aren't working out their kinks until about week 5 because no one actually plays game play together. And there's a difference, and you can ask any NFL, I've obviously never played in the NFL, but you can ask any type of NFL player or any type of athlete. There's a difference between practice and the game. The tempo, the need, the want, all that stuff, the intensity is different in a game than obviously it would be in practice. And the urgency is more urgent in a game than it is in practice. Just like in a regular season football game, when you hear guys talk about regular season compared to playoffs, the urgency and the intensity in the playoffs compared to regular season is night and day. You can find any NFL player to ask them that, and they'll probably tell you that's true. And if not, I'm wrong and I'll own it. But that's just my take on it. I don't mind guys starting the preseason, especially with the shortened preseason now. I don't mind it at all. I think guys should get some game reps, and I think maybe take less reps in practice if you're going to play in the preseason. So that's just my take on that. And then lastly, you know, we had the military shooting at Fort Stewart over in Georgia, which is unfortunate. So we just want to send, you know, thoughts and prayers and well wishes to anyone that was affected by that. Anyone that's in the service that might be embarrassed by it, because you're essentially people that are supposed to be protecting our country, and you have your own beast within, and you got your own killing your own, which is very unfortunate, you know, and that's an unfortunate situation. And from what I read, this isn't the first situation to happen like that at this base. So hopefully these guys, these commanders, these leaders, they can get this stuff under control and really, you know, nip this in the bud. And hopefully we don't have to hear about this again for a long time. But that's really unfortunate. And we just want to give thoughts and prayers out to anyone that was affected by that shooting at that base. And that's our episode for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll be back for episode 3. Peace out.